watching For the Win. I'm Melisa Idris. Now, I'm here at Common Ground Bukit Bintang in Menara Worldwide. And joining me on the show this week, as he has been for the past few weeks, is Shankar Santiram. He's the managing consultant of EQTD Consulting. And he's also a voice that you may have heard on Light in the mornings. He's got a daily show called The Right Perspective. That's 6:50 a.m. in the morning?
6:50, and then again at 9:10, unearthly hour, but it's, you know, just there. I'm there to get you to work every morning. When you have the Monday blues, turn the radio on and I will fire you up as you get to work.
All right, and at night you can watch us on For the Win and get more nuggets of wisdom from Shankar, a whole half an hour full. Okay, Shankar, we've been talking the past few weeks about finding purpose, finding your professional purpose, developing it, honing it, and also last week we talked about ikigai, which is the Japanese concept of
the
your reason for being. What do you do then once you've searched and found a way to identify ikigai for you?
First thing is you don't find it.
You don't find it.
You don't just
you
find
grow
it.
into
you
it?
grow into it. You keep doing it, and then it's cyclical. Right?
Okay.
So
it's not like you accidentally bump into ikigai.
Well, actually, some people do accidentally bump into ikigai, and they find themselves in ikigai land, and then they don't really know what to do about it.
Right.
You know, that's also a possibility. I think we are sometimes mistaken about the fact that we have this destination we want to get to, and we get really annoyed when we don't find it.
Right.
I always think that your career has to be fluid. Your career has to be open-ended, because we also live in a very modern, fluid world.
Right.
Right. Digitization, new models of behavior.
Sure, it's always changing.
It's changing and old-fashioned. I mean, like, you know, I'm almost 50, and I just remembered years and years ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago, if you said you were a freelancer, that was just code for being a loser, for example, right?
Wow.
So if I pitched up to my folks,
means
and
you
said,
couldn't handle a steady
that
job?
means you're just a lazy bugger. I don't want to do anything else. You know, get a real job, my dad would say. You know what I mean? What do you mean, freelancer?
Okay.
Right. So the modern world requires us to have a different attitude.
Okay.
And one of the most important parts of understanding your ikigai, or understanding this concept of finding purpose in your profession, is to accept that it won't just appear. It won't just materialize in front of you. It's not like some magic wand that you wave and you'll find your purpose.
Right.
It's a lot of experimentation. Right? You have to move around, look, figure, bang your head against a brick wall, and you also need to have a certain amount of fortitude.
Okay,
right?
because there will be obstacles. So even if you manage to have all these 4 intersections, as you spoke last week, of doing what you love,
being good at it,
something the world needs, and being paid for it. So if you get all these 4 things intersected,
you might get all those 4 things,
but you could still face challenges.
You will, not you could. You definitely,
will.
Most definitely will face challenges.
Okay.
I was with a cardiothoracic surgeon friend of mine who is almost 60 years old, and he called me and he said, would you like to have a chat with? I'd like to have a chat with you. And I said, sure, we'll have a chat. And I said, look, my heart's perfectly fine.
Okay, so this was a social chat.
Yeah, it's a bit rickety, but I don't think I need open heart surgery right now. And I sat with him and he said, I'm going to be 60 and I want to figure out what's my next move.
Oh.
And this is a cardiothoracic surgeon, a heart surgeon, a guy who does open heart surgery. What's my next move? I said, what's your next move? Is you'll work until you're 70 and then you'll retire with a whole bunch of money. That's what I told him. He said, no. I want to do something else. Maybe I want to go into hospital management, or maybe I want to, Then he said, I speak quite well also, right? You like the way I speak? I said, yeah, maybe I can come and join you and we can do some training together, health and stuff like that. And I'm like, isn't it interesting?
Right.
Isn't it interesting that even someone at that age, where you would have thought that their ikigai and their purpose is so clear, because you've been doing this for the last 25, 30 years, and you get there, because you never, and I think these are the people that I want to be surrounded by.
Well,
I want to be surrounded by people who want to push.
Well, that inspires me, because someone of that age, even though may have achieved, a certain level in his life, is not thinking about let's just make as much money and retire, but is hopeful enough to think about what I want to do next.
That's it. Hopeful enough.
Right.
And that's what it's all about.
Okay.
Right. To keep reiterating and reinventing yourself, and to constantly be on that S-curve as an individual, not as an entrepreneur, which means you reach that point of peaking and then you start again and you recreate another growth trajectory for yourself.
Okay.
It requires a sense of hopefulness.
Yeah.
As opposed to
that.
hopelessness.
I mean, and you always hear people say, oh, your attitude will fuel you, right? You know, a positive attitude will get you through anything. But it's not as easy as that.
No, it's not.
Is it?
It's not. But it's true, though.
Okay.
That's what I want to say. That, you know, when people tell me, no, I'm not talking about mindless optimism, yeah?
Right.
I get really irritated by mindless optimists. You know, people, oh, look at that. Oh, a friend is just a stranger you haven't said hello to. I'm like, stop that. Do you know what I mean? This is just mindless optimism,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I think the kind of optimism and positivism is that a certain amount of self-efficacy, which is to do with confidence, which we will, I'm sure, talk about at some point. But it starts off with you understanding that I can, I will,
Okay.
I have to.
Okay.
You know, and most of us, when our walls are pushed against the wall, did I just say our walls are pushed against
Our
the wall?
backs are pushed against the walls. Yes, that's right.
When our backs are pushed against the wall, if somebody proverbially put a gun on your head, you'll get stuff done.
Okay.
You'll get stuff done.
All
You'll
right.
pull out
But
the
you
stops.
want to make sure that it doesn't get to that point, right?
No, you don't want
Yeah.
to. You want to change. You want to make effective change based on your drive. You know, you don't want the world to shape the way you behave. You want to shape the world you live in.
Okay, so I'm curious to know about what we can do to get hope, because many of us are feeling disengaged and you know that something's not quite connecting. We'll come back and discuss that right here on For the Win. Make sure you stay with us. Welcome back to For the Win. I'm Melisa Idris with Shankar Santiram from EQTD Consulting. We're talking about how to have a hopeful attitude. Now, Shankar, it's important to have a hopeful attitude, but many of us, you know, we're driving to work, it's been a rough week, and we're not feeling the most engaged. Even though we may love the job, be good at it, be paid well for it, maybe something that the world needs, how do we fight off that feeling of disconnect and change it to being hopeful?
No one else can do it
Just yourself?
but you. You know, I'm a great fan of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yes, I spoke to him. I remember.
And I love, you know, I get inspired on a daily basis listening to Gary Vee. And recently I was watching one of his videos and he said, you know, if you're earning, he gave some American dollars, so let's assume, let's just Malaysianize it a little bit, right? So if you're earning 3,000 ringgit a month and you've got a family, you don't moan about it. You're completely fine. You have no issue about living in the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur and you have a 1 hour drive or 1 hour commute to come into the city, and you don't have any other great aspirations for anything else, but you are happy, right? You are actually happy in yourself. I will never come to you and tell you that you should do something better with your life and be more hopeful,
Okay.
right? I think that person has cracked the code. That's what Gary Vee said, and I think I tend to agree with him. You know, I find that the people really crack the code of living is understanding what is it that they want. You know, when you feel the funk, when you feel like you've lost your mojo, what is it? It's a sense of expectation. You expected something else in your life. You expected yourself to be somewhere else in your life at this particular point. What's the greatest, you know, when you break up with someone, what's your big problem? It's sometimes not the person that you're breaking up with. It's the
idea
depth of all the plans that you have with them.
The future.
The future. So I've decided that I'm going to go and live in this country and I'm going to buy this house and we're going to do this, we're going to have kids, we're going to do this. You make all these great plans and the relationship breaks down, right? And then you get so sad for months and months and months after that. And when you think about it, really, what is it that you are upset about? You're upset, and every time you you go back and you think about it and you have these moments of weakness where you go like, oh, you know, I feel sad. It's usually not because you miss the person per se, it's because you miss all the plans that you made with them.
Right.
And the moment you start remaking plans with yourself or with someone else, for example, then you find that hurt. So people say, oh, time will heal.
No?
Well, it does only if you substitute that emptiness with something else.
Okay,
Right?
so let's say if it's in a professional setting, and you're feeling disengaged and disconnected with your work.
You have three options if that happens.
Okay.
First option. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah,
but
no.
Because I get this question all the time, in my coaching
How do you
programs.
break out of the
People
funk?
go, oh no,
I'm in a funk. I've lost my mojo.
I know, I get people sitting, and I get CEOs of organizations sitting back, having a cup of coffee with me.
Because it happens to all of us.
It happens to everyone.
Okay.
It's very, very, very interesting. So the junior level staff that I coach and the CEO of the company that I coach have the same problems. It's just the scale of it is bigger, you know what I mean? And the intensity of the hurt is bigger.
Okay.
And the intensity of the hurt is bigger when you go higher.
Sure.
Right? So there's only three. If you don't like something that's happening, if you have that funk and you can't get out of your kind of that mood that you have about the work
blues,
and the disengagement that you have have only one of three choices. First choice is you go back to your organization and you negotiate. Negotiate meaning, I want to do something else here that I bring more value to. I want to do something where I think my skill sets can be leveraged more appropriately to make me feel better. Right? So if it's a structural problem with the organization that you work with, this is what you need to be able to do.
Right.
Now, caveat
that's
here.
one. Oh,
no,
that's
it's
a caveat.
here.
Okay.
If you come to me, Melissa, if I was your boss and you come to me,
And
right,
said I want to do something else.
firstly, you need to be valuable to me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not valuable to me, I won't even open the door and let you in. You just walk in and go like, speak to the hand, because the face ain't hearing anything after this, all right? In most organizations, this is what actually happens.
Okay.
Right? So, boss, and boss looks at you and goes like, Kani, benda-benda yang senang-senang pun kat lewat, tapi nak cakap besar dengan saya. You know what I mean? You can't do the basic stuff and you get really upset.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk
so
to you.
So you have to be valuable.
Yes, you have. And how do you become valuable? You only become valuable when you add value to others. Right? So if you're working for me, you become completely valuable when I look at you and you've given me value. The more value you give me, the more important you become to me.
Isn't that also a double-edged sword? Because if you're so valuable in your current role, why would your boss or line leader move you out of that?
No, they won't. But if the alternative for me is to lose you in my organization,
I see. Might as well
I
make
want
you happy, right? Yeah,
well,
keep
make you happy because I'll find you something that you'll keep adding me value.
Okay.
So I do this in my own organization, right? And when somebody comes and tells me, and I want, all the people who are listening to this right now, watching. I'm a radio guy, which is listening to this.
That's
people are
light.
watching. This is sunlight. This is the morning, right? Everyone, watching this and listening, just think, right? And you think about this also, Melissa, right? So right now, in your mind, think about your line leader and think about walking to your line leader tomorrow morning and saying to them, I'm leaving the job. Here's my resignation.
Oh.
Okay? Don't do it.
I hope he's not watching.
Yeah, no, she's not going to resign, right? But, just imagine you're going to go and resign. If you resign, you will only get one of two reactions from your line leader, right? No matter how much they and ah and, because we're all Oscar-winning actors at the workplace.
Yes.
Right? We can act amazingly, right? So forget about the acting skills, right? Just inside there's only one of two reasons. The first, or one of two reactions. The first reaction is, oh my God.
Horror.
Yeah, what am I going to do? Melissa's leaving. I'm going to have this hole, and we need to figure this one out. And that's when they'll talk to you. They'll say, do you have to go right away? I mean, have you got another job? What can I do to make things better for you? Counter offer, suggest all sorts of things. They will tell you things. Why don't you take a month off and then come back?
Right.
I'm willing to give you a month off so that you just go calm yourself down, come back, because I still need you. Now, if your organization says that to you, that means you have tremendous value. Right? Now, the other reaction you will get is no matter what they say, oh, I'm so sorry, Melissa, you're leaving. Inside, I'm doing the happy dance.
Okay, that's relief, perhaps.
Because everyone thinks it's so easy to fire people. It is not. It is one of the most emotionally challenging thing to do in all our business lives is to actually take somebody out of their job.
Well, I had to go through that a couple of years ago. The first time I had to let someone go, I couldn't sleep the night before. I was a mess, and I was even worse. And the person.
And after also, you would have felt the after effects of it.
I felt terrible for having to do that.
So first thing you do is you negotiate. If you get what you want, fantastic. If you don't get what you want, what do you do? Then you have two choices. Second choice is you stay in that organization, but the proviso here is you have to shut up and stay.
Ooh,
Not
okay.
just
Don't
stay.
complain.
Don't complain. Don't moan. Don't whinge.
So the first one is negotiate.
Negotiate.
Second one is stay.
Well, negotiate. You get whatever you want. Great.
Great.
Then you have no problem.
Okay.
You don't get what you want. then you decide to stay. And you be very clear why you stay. You stay only for one of three reasons. First one is you stay because the market is soft outside and you don't,
might not get a job.
Yeah, and there is no shame in considering that, because we all have families, we have bills to pay and stuff like that. And I'd rather you be very comfortable with your family life and pay your bills, so on and so forth.
And not worry about money.
Or you stay because of, I might not like you as my boss, but I still can learn from you. Right? That's the next one. And the third one is, my skill sets are not that great anyway. So if I go out right now, I still need to hone my skill sets. Now, when you start thinking purposefully like this, you will find that there is no problem with being depressed or distressed. Unless depression is a clinical problem that you have, then you must go and see my friend, the psychiatrist or the psychologist. And I think you need to. You need to see counselors and stuff like that if you really have that. But for the bulk of the people that I work with and the people that I coach, I'm not a clinical psychologist or, I do not purport to understand this at all, but I always tell them if you really feel that you can't get out of this, you must go and seek professional help.
Else, yep.
But if not, first you start, the first premise is ask yourself whether you're just not thinking rationally.
Not thinking purposefully. All right, we're going to come back and continue our conversation right here on For the Win. Thank you for staying with us. This is For the Win. I'm Melisa Idris with Shankar Santaram of EQTD Consulting. We're talking about how to have a hope-filled attitude. Now, Shankar, you left us on a bit of a cliffhanger just before the break. Okay, so you gave us 2 ways to break out of this feeling of disengagement at work and feeling like you're not connecting at your job, right? So the first one you said to renegotiate with your boss.
Get back, talk to the people who make decisions on your behalf. But you need to understand that if you have no value, no one's going to talk to you. Okay,
so you need to renegotiate, but only do that if you are a valuable employee or a valuable asset to the company. The second thing you can do to break out of this funk is to stay.
Yeah.
But be quiet about it. So don't whine and
you need to cut
whinge.
it. You know what I mean? Yeah, because no one wants a moaner in the organization.
Of course, that's not fun to work with. All right, and then you left us on the cliffhanger of what's number 3?
Yeah, go on.
Go.
Yeah,
just
go
leave.
Leave.
Okay.
Get another job. Go be happy somewhere else.
Okay.
Just go.
And is there a caveat for that one?
No, just go. I mean, if you know that the caveat is look at number 2. Look at why you should stay. If you think that it's okay, I'm earning, I will be earning less, the market is up, but I'm okay, I can manage that.
Okay.
I don't really like my line leader and I can't actually learn anything from them. And my skill sets are pretty there already. Then go and be happy, but be absolutely clear why you're doing this. Yeah?
Okay.
Because if you go, if you leave a job without understanding why you're leaving the job and that is not clear in your mind and there is no purposefulness, you do it purposeless, just like without any hope, you just kind of just believe. When you go to the next job, you'll have the same problems. You'll have the same problems every single time.
Okay.
Right?
And this is something, reminded me of something that you said on the last show, Shankar, that with every job, you have to try. You have to give it
100%.
your all.
You've got to go in
and
there.
That's
100%.
the only way you know if it really is meant for you. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you try 100%, that the proviso there is that you need to understand that you might be doing something that you don't particularly enjoy, like, or even are proficient at. But you're going to keep at it until you get better.
Okay, all right.
It's like everything else.
And to do that, you have to be hopeful, right? So you go into this new job and you're filled with a hopeful attitude.
Yeah.
And is that sometimes enough to get you
going? That's a start point.
Right.
It's always the start point. Right? The start point is you must be hopeful.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, if you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and come to work, and I know for years and years and years
I
you used
did
to get
that,
up at
yes.
that time to do the morning stuff. And I've met you before, and I'd always go like, how do you do that?
Well, it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock,
though,
not even 4, right? And after a while, it becomes part of your psyche.
It does,
and it becomes okay, and you fall asleep by 7 in the evening, and you're ready to wake up at 3. But for a normal person who has a normal life, who has to get up at 7 or 8 in the morning or 6:30 or whatever, waking up at 4 in the morning is such a nightmare.
Right.
Unless you're going to Bali for a holiday.
And that's different. That's a different purpose, and we spoke about that.
Yeah, but also why? When you wake up, you're so filled with hope.
That's okay.
There's this tremendous amount of hope. It's not confidence. It's not excitement alone. It's hope. What are you hoping for? You're hoping for a great flight. You're hoping for a great holiday. You're hoping for a beautiful beach holiday. You're hoping for a
great weather, relaxation.
You're hoping for that. And then you arrive there, and then you're there for 4 days. It rains every day for 4 days. And it's really funny because first day it rains, it'll irritate you. But then you're hopeful.
The next day?
So that day your holiday will still be okay. Okay. Second day, it rains again. Your hope levels come down a bit. Now you do the math and you go like, oh my God, I'm only here for 2 more days and I paid so much money to be here. Man, then you might go and sit in a spa that day, right? Because you know, I'll find something else, you know, I can do indoorsy stuff, right? Third day it rains again and you're leaving the next day. Where's your hope at this point, my friend? Where's your hope?
Right, and
you just get on social media and you start moaning
and
ranting. And as though the government
the
of Bali can control the weather, you know what I mean, for example.
Hopefully that's not the case. So before you do lose hope, the idea is to keep that positive attitude because it can kickstart so much, right?
You know, this is very interesting. A lot of people talk about mindless optimism, and I'm not talking about mindless optimism. You know, going for a team building program. I mean,
You're not a fan, I take it?
Well, to be fair, that's how my professional career as a corporate trainer started. In 2002, running team building programs.
Sure.
2-3 years down the road, I realized that, you know, the ikigai, I was very good at it. I actually kind of liked doing it because it's a lot of fun, you're outdoorsy, but the world didn't really need it.
Okay.
You know, I was very good at it and I could get paid for it. So there's a sense of emptiness and uselessness in what I did because really what happened was, what happens in a team building program, you go there in an artificial environment, everybody, you know, gets all G'd up and
yeah,
you
but
know, you get a lot of
where's the lasting effect?
None, because it's about building relationships, right? What actually I think people need to understand, organizations and just us generally, the mind constantly needs hope. You know, and I think this is where the whole team building element came into play to start off with. Get everybody together, give them something interesting to do, hold hands, sing I believe I can fly, you know, and that gives everyone hope. But then if you keep doing it every year without any growth, then there is no more hope because now when you go on the team building program, you're already in the car itself or on the truck or the bus or whatever, you go like, this is going to be the same
that's the
thing.
dread. But then how do you reconcile that with, say, like the placebo effect, right? For someone who, you know, is just positive, it can cure all
yeah. There's a lady called Faith Briney who wrote a book, and I can't remember the name of the book right now off the top of my head, but her name is Faith Briney, and she's a psychologist. And when she tested the effects of the placebo on patients, and it ranges anywhere between a 15% increase in health, I mean, people getting better, right up to a 72% increase.
That is remarkable.
It's remarkable.
So you just, by believing that you think you're better, you do become better.
You do become better.
So mind is a powerful thing.
You know, my mom was in hospital recently and she had a heart attack, and I was talking to the cardiologist at the Gleneagles Hospital in Medical Center in Penang, Dr. Rajesh Shah, lovely man. Had a chat with him, and when we got her out of the hospital after she had got a stent in, I said, okay, so, you know, me being me, I said to the doctor and said, right, dude, like, you got to tell me what's the new, you know, modality of living for my folks.
Right.
You know, what should they do? So he did also, you do this, take the medicines, you know, organize this. And then the final thing he told me was, she needs to have a positive mindset all the time.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at him and like, have you been to one of my programs? And he laughed. Wow. He said, no, everyone thinks that as scientists, you know, I'm a cardiologist, a scientist, we don't believe in this. Of course, it's everything to do with the mind. The mind heals.
Okay, Shankar, I'm a worrier, right? Personally, I worry and I get anxious a lot.
It's okay.
So how do you have a positive mindset? I mean, I know you say just do it, but how do you not do it mindlessly, purposelessly?
First thing is, you have only two options. Either you have a positive mindset or you worry. Okay? So you make a choice right now, what's better for you. Okay? You decide. And the moment you decide that worrying is getting me nowhere, right? That doesn't mean the worry goes away, right? It's reminding yourself regularly that the worry is not getting you anywhere. See, when you're worrying, you get focused, invested in the idea of worrying, you carry on worrying, and you can't get out of that, right? So I always tell people, it's not like, you know, worry or don't worry. Tell yourself not to worry and you won't worry anymore.
Yeah, no, that never works.
Doesn't work. It never works. That's just nonsense, right? It's absolute nonsense. Right? You're going to worry, accept that you're going to worry. So it's like failure. You're going to fail, embrace you're going to fail, and then understand that I have 2 options or 3 options. When I meet failure, I can either get debilitated by failure or I can get motivated by failure.
Okay.
right? So that's a choice. That's your choice. So I can go like, no, I don't feel like doing. I failed. I don't feel like doing anything. Or you can go like, man, I failed, and this is not going to happen
so
again.
I can worry,
Yeah.
but then I can stop worrying
Yeah.
and then have a positive attitude.
Well, you understand that you're worrying.
Yeah.
And then you go, you know what, Melisa, dude, like really, what am I going to do with this worry? Because this worry is not going to help me. I'm just becoming a miserable person.
Right.
I need to snap out. You know, it's funny. I do that all the time with myself. I'm in the car. I go like, come on, stop it.
Snap out of
It's
it.
funny. My wife thinks I'm slightly off kilter sometimes because I talk to myself. She'll walk in somewhere and she'll go like, what are you doing? Who's there? And I go like, no, I'm just talking to myself.
Not even in the mirror, just
No,
to
it's
yourself.
just saying to myself that, like, no more. Stop it.
All right, Shankar, unfortunately, that's all the time we have
Why
for this
so
week.
little time? What is this?
Time flies when you're having
Can I
fun.
come back again?
Well, it's been quite a therapy session for me, so thank you for that. Now we're going to come back with Shankar Santiram of EQTD Consulting next week to talk about being confident and how having a confident-filled attitude will fuel you for success. So make sure you tune in then. I'm Melisa Idris signing off.